The scout vessel Odysseus drifted through the void like a silent prayer, its hull painted in the muted grays and blues of Earth's exploration fleet. From her command deck, Ensign Aaron Zhao watched the crimson orb of Xiphos 7 grow larger in the forward view screen. At first glance, the planet looked dead, an endless expanse of rust-red plains, jagged mesas, and swirling dust devils. Yet every reading from the ship's sensors crackled with life and danger. Feral biosignatures, violent magnetic fluctuations, and a hostile, gnarled weather system strong enough to tear a human-built city from its foundations. Ensign. Status. Report. Captain Marek Thorne's voice came crisp and calm, though Aaron detected the faint tremor of curiosity beneath. Aaron adjusted his goggles and tapped the console. Holographic schematics of Xiphos 7 rotated slowly between them. Atmospheric analysis: oxygen at 11.8%, carbon dioxide 24.3%, trace amounts of sulfuric compounds. Magnetosphere intact, but irregular localized fluxes strong enough to fry delicate electronics. Surface biosignatures, Class 4 to Class VI lifeforms, primarily subterranean or nocturnal. No urban structures, no artificial transmissions detected, although there are high-energy flares near latitude 43 south that could indicate sentient activity. High-energy flares, Marek mused, leaning forward. Have we ever encountered a planet so hostile, yet potentially inhabited? Aaron frowned at the data. Not in my service, sir. This world was classified a death world in the colonial archives, though that term typically applies to extreme flora and fauna, not entire civilizations. Beside them, Lieutenant Nova Reyes, the weapons officer, gave a curt nod. It's the perfect place for an experiment. High Command's Terra modules will thrive or they'll fail spectacularly. Marek steepled his fingers. High Command's line is that Xiphos 7's natives are in crisis. Seismic upheavals have collapsed their cities. We're here to deliver aid, to stabilize their atmosphere, rebuild their shelters, deploy seed factories. He glanced at the others. Humanity's first humanitarian mission beyond the Sol system. Aaron's stomach clenched. Every explorer dreamed of that moment, the moment when humanity reached out to another intelligent species in friendship. Yet as the Odysseus eased into high orbit, the scout in him warned of illusions. There had been no distress call from Xiphos 7, no plea for help. Only intercepted transmissions half decoded, brutally cut short, that hinted at upheaval. A shimmer of light flickered on the planet's surface, an aurora green and violet ribbons dancing above the red dust storms. Aaron's eyes widened. Magnetotail interaction far stronger than scans predicted. Tell me we didn't cut corners on our magnetic shielding. Nova tapped a command. Reinforce at 50%. I don't want anybody's implants scrambling when we beam down. Marek nodded and pressed a calm badge. Helm, prepare the descent vector. Suit teams to quarters. Descent into the maelstrom within the next hour. The Odysseus's landing party clustered in the airlock bay. The walls throbbed with the hum of reactors as the ship's descent engines engaged. Red light bathed the narrow corridor. Ensign Aaron stiffened as his helmet's heads-up display flicked through safety warnings. Oxygen reserves low, magnetospheric surge detected, pressure fluctuations imminent. He adjusted the dial on his suit just enough to compensate for Xiphos 7's thin air. Lieutenant Reyes checked her Gauss rifle, a sleek weapon overlaid with smart targeting optics, and an adaptive recoil system. Just in case we run into angry wildlife, she said, but her tone lacked humor. Command wants minimal interference, Marek reminded them. We are observers first, aid deliverers second, warriors only if attacked. The shuttle's hatch opened with a hiss. Below, Xiphos 7's surface boiled in a furnace of dust and heat. Iron oxide clouds swirled like molten metal. Towering eddies cut gulches into the bedrock. Blasts of wind nearly threw the Odysseus's shuttle sideways. Aaron gripped the handrail as the shuttle landed. Dust stamped its engines in fiery drifts, then settled to opaque silence. Outside, the planet's sky glowed red through a veil of particulate haze. Team Bravo, follow me, Marek ordered. Keep your scanners alive. Let's find a safe spot to establish our initial base camp. The unexpected visitor. Half an hour later, the team trudged along a rocky plateau strewn with razor-shaped stones. Arn's visor filtered the glare of Ziphos-7's dual suns, pale dots in the orange sky. Each footstep kicked up miniature whirlwind vortices. Nothing here alive but dust, Aaron muttered, raising his environmental scanner. A readout blinked, subsurface tremors increasing, life signs sporadic, concentrated in underground caverns. Nova tapped her Gauss rifle to recalibrate. If the natives live underground, we may never see them. We'll set up camp near these fissures, give them space. Marek crouched to examine the cracks. Structures could be built into these. Natural shelters, good for foundational work. He keyed his comm. Odysseus, this is Thorn. We're going to set the base here. Repeat, here. Send down the terraformation modules and the subsea drills. Copy, Thorn, came the reply. A brief pause, then static. Be advised, unidentified vessel entering orbit on approach vector 284. Unidentified, Marek frowned. Aaron, Nova, prepare to identify it visually. Moments later, a warning icon scarlet flashed on Arn's HUD. Multiple shield signatures. He reported, voice tight. Hull composition unknown, no match in human, transgalactic, or Republic databases. Light flickered above. The crew looked up, visors reflecting an object slicing through the dusty red sky, a slender black ship with curved, blade-like wings. It cut through the storm like a living thing, silent, purposeful, malevolent. It's not a drone, Nova whispered. Too big, too deliberate. The ship decelerated gracefully, descending toward the plateau's edge. A faint blue glow traced along its seams. No visible thrusters, no identifiable markings. An aura of quiet menace followed its every movement. Marek drew his sidearm. Everyone. Defensive positions. But hold your fire. Arn's heart pounded. They're not sending hail requests. No open comm channel. The black vessel landed 10 clicks away. Its hull sinking slightly into the iron-rich soil. A narrow gangway extended, shimmering like fluid metal. The dust storm around it parted, as though repelled by some unseen force. Stay frosty, Marek ordered. We have no idea who or what we're dealing with. Through the storm as the tempest intensified, the shuttle's power shield flickered under Ziphos-7's magnetic surges. The wind howled through the fissures, tugging at the landing team's gear. Aaron calibrated his communicator to the planet's field. Anything could interfere. Captain, he called softly, my scanners show life forms, not beasts, but bipedal, larger frames, bioarmor signatures. They're approaching. Marek's eyes narrowed. On foot? Aaron nodded. Slow, deliberate stride. I'd estimate 2 meters tall, exoskeletal plates, energy shield around each. Nova braced her rifle. Hostile, by the look of it. Shields are polarized to repel kinetic impact. The gangway's vessel door burst open in a hiss of hydraulics. 6 figures strode out, tall, lithe, crowned with frilled crests that pulsed with toxic yellow veins. Their limbs were wrapped in bio-weave armor, contoured to muscle, and their eyes burned like embers in the dim storm. They paused at the gangway's rim, scanning. Silent, Aaron swallowed. They're staring right at us. Nova keyed her comm. Unidentified life forms, attempting non-verbal communication protocols. A translator drone buzzed forward into the swirling dust. Its speakers crackled with static. The Deathworlders. Aaron thought the name before the translators kicked in, shifted their weight, then addressed the drone in a low, guttural tongue. The drone transcribed haltingly, humans, you come as destroyers? Marek stepped forward, hands raised. We come in peace, he called, voice steady despite his racing pulse. I'm Captain Marek Thorn of the United Earth Fleet. We seek to help your world. The Deathworlders responded not in harsh clicks, but in perfect, fiery English. Peace was your lie. With that, a shimmering pulse radiated from their bodies, sending a shockwave rippling across the plateau. Aaron and Nova were thrown back, their calm links severed. The dust storm intensified, obscuring everything in crimson fury. Marek fought. To his feet, rage and fear colliding. Stand your ground, he shouted. We're not your enemy. But the Deathworlders surged forward in a blur of amber eyes and lethal intent. Their shields flickered on, refracting the dying light. They came not to parley, but to strike. As the first shot of Gauss slug met energy shield, echoing like thunder, the landing party realized the grim truth. Ziphos 7 would not be saved by Earth's promises, and humanity's deception, its humanitarian mission, would be paid for in blood. The hiss of displaced air faded into an eerie quiet as the Deathworlders' shockwave receded. Dust swirled in the lowered gravity, painting the landing zone in shifting crimson hues. Captain Marek Thorne scrambled to his feet, heart pounding. Like a war drum, around him, Lieutenant Nova Reyes and Ensign Aranjao shook off the impact, scrambling for their Gauss rifles and scanning the gloom. Status, Marek barked, voice cracking. Nova's visor red shields 87% compensating for magnetic surges. Aran's HUD flickered with scrambled readouts as the translator drone rebooted. Translators intermittent, he growled. I'm picking up fragments, humans, destroyers, lies. Marek cursed under his breath. They think we're invaders. No wonder they attacked. He took a steadying breath. All right. Defensive perimeter. Hold your positions. Do not fire unless fired upon again. But as the shuttle hatch sealed behind them, a tremor rumbled through the plateau. The ground buckled, jagged fissures snaking outward like claws. Dust clouds exploded upward, shrouding the battlefield. Geological instability, Nova shouted. Seismic readings off the charts. We're not on solid ground. Marek grabbed Aran's arm. Pull back to the shuttle entrance. We need cover. They sprinted toward the airlock as the ground convulsed beneath them. Behind, the Deathworlders 6 of them advanced in perfect synchronization. Their bioarmor glowed venom green in the red haze. Each step seemed to skim above the earth, leaving scorched imprints. From the plateau's edge came a low rumble. The black ship was moving, its curved wings unfolded, folding downward like a living beast preparing to pounce. Powerful repulsors glowed cobalt as it lifted off the scorched soil, rotating to bring its weapons array to bear. Nova pivoted, leveling her rifle at the nearest Deathworlder. Cover me, she yelled, firing a burst of Gauss slugs. The projectiles slammed into the creature's shield, scattering in golden sparks. The Deathworlder lifted an arm, its palm blossoming into a field that absorbed the impact. Then it lashed, out with a pulse that threw Nova against a boulder. Marek rushed to her side. Nova, report. She blinked, dazed. Energy field too strong. We need to overload it, or we're sitting ducks. Aran fired a careful shot at another Deathworlder. The slug flew true, denting the bioarmor but failing to breach the shield. The creature returned fire with an energy bolt that singed his pack. He tumbled to one knee, coughing through his mask. We can't beat them with bullets. He wheezed. We need heavy ordnance. The shuttle's missile tubes, no time. Nova spat, blood trickling from her lip. They'll cut us down before we lock a target. Marek's fingers danced over his wrist holocom. Odysseus, this is Thorne. We're under heavy assault. Extract us now. Silence. Then static. Thorne, protocol. Awaiting. Before the voice could finish, the black ship's repulsors flared. In its belly, a gaping maw of energy coalesced into a long-barreled cannon. It aimed directly at the shuttle's engines. A thunderclap of power erupted as the weapon fired. A cobalt beam lanced through the dust, striking the shuttle's aft section. The engines exploded in a white-hot flare, sending shockwaves that knocked everyone off their feet. The vessel shuddered violently, then tipped forward, its nose collapsing into the plateau. Marek felt the world tilt. Fall back, he roared, grabbing Aran's hand. Together with Nova, they rolled down a rocky incline, narrowly avoiding the burning wreckage. Behind them, the shuttle groaned and collapsed in on itself, fueling a secondary blast that swallowed the landing zone in flames. Gods above, Nova whispered as they pressed against a jagged outcrop, panting. They just destroyed our extraction. Aran's HUD blinked red, oxygen reserves critical, structural integrity failing. He forced himself to breathe, scanning for another shelter. They're those caverns, natural overhang. Maybe we can hold out there. Marek nodded. Lead the way. He cast a glance upward where, through the roiling dust, the black ship hovered like a sentinel. Beneath it, the Deathworlders ceased their advance, standing motionless in a perfect semicircle. Shields humming. As the trio ducked into the cavern's shadow, Marek tapped his badge. Command. Comin', we're cut off. We need immediate backup. Or we're lost. Still no reply. Only the harsh roar of the storm and the crackle of distant energy weapons. Inside the cavern, the dust settled to reveal a network of tunnels etched into rust-hued rock. The air was cold, damp, and strangely breathable, slightly richer in oxygen than outside. Orange scanners lit up, localized atmosphere at 17%. Maybe geothermal vents harsh, but survivable. Marek pulled off his helmet. His face was streaked with grime and sweat. Good work, Ensign. Nova, see if you can jury-rig a comm relay. We need to get a signal off this rock. Nova rummaged through her pack, extracting a compact emitter module. She attached it to Marek's belt. If I boost this through the shuttle's backup transponder, we might reach orbit barely, but we'll need line of sight to the sky. Aaron tapped his wrist display. There's a crevasse deeper and could open to surface. It's risky, could collapse or feed into unstable zones. Marek stared at the tunnel's darkness. Risk is better than waiting to die. He turned to the cavern's entrance, where heat from the flames still glowed orange. Let's move. A glimmer of negotiation edged through the tunnel, boots echoing on damp stone. The air grew warmer, moisture dripped from jagged stalactites. At intervals, Aaron marked waypoints on his suit's interface, constructing a rough map. After 10 tense minutes, Nova held up her hand. A narrow opening yawned ahead, sloping upward. Through it, arcs of lightning forked across the sky, illuminating the black ship's silhouette. The Deathworlders milled below, but none noticed the glimmering hole in the plateau. Marek exhaled. Perfect, let's set up the relay here. He and Nova unpacked the emitter and connected it to a makeshift antenna fashioned from there. Tools, Aaron crouched beside them, securing the power cell. As they worked, a series of chimes echoed through. The tunnel subsonic hums from outside. The group froze. Nova hissed, "They're coming." Sure enough, the Deathworlders filed toward the cavern entrance, weapons lowered but shields engaged. Their armor's veins pulsed with phosphorescence, casting shifting patterns on the rock walls. From outside came a translated voice. "Calmer now, humans. You flee." Marek stood, unarmed, hands raised. "We do not wish to fight any longer. Your ship destroyed our shuttle. We seek only to live and to speak." A towering Deathworlder stepped into the cavern's mouth, its orange eyes probing. "Speech means weakness," Marek nodded. "Or honesty. I lied. We came under false orders. Our mission was conquest cloaked as charity. I denounce it. I want to make amends if you will allow." Silence. The cavern's damp walls absorbed the tension. Finally, the Deathworlder gestured to the others, who stood back. "Come, show your honesty." With trembling steps, Marek led them up to the opening. He pointed at the black ship, whose weapons array glowed dim now, power extraction perhaps delayed by their damage. "That ship belongs to the Federation. It was sent not as aid, but as an instrument of war." The Deathworlder's crest flattened in what Aaron interpreted as contemplation. Then, to Marek's astonishment, it spoke. "Then you are not like your warship." Marek swallowed hard. "No. We want your help to survive Zipho's 7 storms, and we want to help you. Let us prove it." A flicker of storms lit the horizon, red lightning cleaving the sky. The Deathworlder's amber eyes reflected both fury and possibility. "Very well, human, but prove it first. Save one of mine." Behind them, a distant roar shook the plateau, another seismic surge, larger than before. A rockslide tore across the ridgeline, sweeping a lone Deathworlder into a ravine. The figure's shield flickered as it clutched at a gash in its armor. Marek dropped to his knees. "We help now," he promised, voice fierce. "Stay with me." As Nova and Aaron prepared medical gear for alien physiology, the black ship's silhouette receded into the swirling red sky, its next move uncertain. The storm howled. The planet trembled, and amid the chaos a fragile accord took root. On Deathworld's bleeding soil, human and Deathworlder would fight not each other, but the great maelstrom itself. The gambit for mutual survival had begun. The light inside the caverned refuge was dim, an intimate half-glow from the bioluminescent veins, winding through the Ziffin rock walls. Outside, the planet raged on. Seismic tremors shook the plateau in ragged pulses, and deep thunder rolled through the fissures, close enough to feel its rumble in the bones. The storm beyond seemed a living thing. Hunting them all. Captain Marek Thorn sat on a smooth stone ledge, the wounded Ziffin, its crest now stark white against smeared crimson armor resting on a cot of salvaged insulation blankets. Lieutenant Nova Reyes knelt beside the alien, her med kit open, tools laid out. Ensign Aaron Zhao hovered at the edge, tending an improvised power converter that hummed as it pumped fusion cell energy into the Ziffin's field stabilizer. Silence kept them company until the Ziffin stirred, its amber eyes fluttering as it fought delirium. It rasped in a tongue too deep to resonate through human vocal cords. The drone translator crackled to life. "Stay alive," it whispered. Every word felt like a confession and a plea. Nova's hand shook as she adjusted the patch on the Ziffin's fractured shoulder. "We're here," she replied, voice barely steady. "I've rerouted the emergency med oil should stabilize your proteins. You'll live." The Ziffin's gaze flicked to Thorn. It flexed a three-fingered hand. "Betrayed by your kind." Marek closed his eyes. He remembered the shipping manifest, those cold lines of code calling for warheads, for orbital bombardment. The humanitarian mission had been a lie from the start. "I betrayed you," he said, voice low. "But I can't undo what High Command ordered. I can choose how we move forward." Aaron looked between them. "Captain, I've almost got the comm relay ready. If I can boost the signal through the shuttle's backup array, we'll reach orbit. Maybe someone up there still listens." Marek nodded. "Do it. Convey this. We renounce all offensive orders. Request immediate ceasefire from the fleet. I'll vouch for you myself." As Aaron worked, the Ziffin stirred again, forcing the translator drone to sputter. Words, only words. It closed its eyes, pain and exhaustion battling for dominance. Nova's fingers clicked over a med calibrator. "We'll show you," she said. "Your survival is proof." Fractured command higher up, the Odysseys remained smoldered, a beacon of betrayal lighting the storm. Orbiting above, the black dreadnought loomed, its guns silent, its bridge dark. Lieutenant Commander Asim Rajan, the executive officer turned interim captain by protocol, stood before the star chart console in the observation bay. He watched the planet's red storms swirl like blood in an artery. His wrist comm crackled. "Commander," came the distorted voice of Admiral Delgado, Earth's High Command liaison. "Report." Rajan's jaw tightened. "Admiral, Captain, Thorn has gone rogue. He's seized control of the landing party, refusing to obey orders. He claims to have proof the mission is a war expedition, not a relief effort." Delgado's sigh crackled. "Thorn's telemetry is lost, shields are down." Calm silence. "But the fleet's orders stand. Neutralize hostile natives, deploy terraformation, secure the planet. As it stands, the fleet is unarmed, downlinked, and the natives have us pinned in orbit." A stony pause. "Then fall back to safe orbit and wait for reinforcements." Rajan's fingers curled around the console. "Reinforcements will arrive in 48 hours. That storm, those creatures will scavenge our ship long before then." Delgado's reply was clinical. "Understood. Maintain position." Rajan's breath caught. Position of certain death. The channel went dead. He tapped the console, eyes burning. He had a choice: follow orders to massacre the only ally he might have, or defy High Command and doom himself to a court-martial. Lines in the dustback in the cavern. Aaron's relay whined as it reached peak power. The human crew and the Ziffin waited in tense hush outside. They could hear stumps of boot metal on rock. 6 Deathworlders had remained behind to guard the wounded leader. The rest had retreated to perilous safety. Aaron keyed the uplink. "Transmitting, Captain." All comm channels on Ziffos 7 flickered to life through the haze of plasma lag. Admiral Delgado's visage formed on a flickering holoscreen. Rage cut bright in his eyes. "Thorn," Delgado thundered, struggling past static. "Cease this mutiny. Your fleet is to proceed." Marek stood, shoulders squared. "Admiral, I am formally revoking any combat directives. The Ziffins are allies, not targets. I demand orders to cease fire effective immediately." Delgado's face contorted. "That's treason." "You will comply." Marek drew a deep breath. "No, my mission is to protect the citizens of Earth and the lives of sentient beings. You have betrayed that mission. Until I receive new orders from the President's office, I will not attack." Silence crackled across the channel. Then unthinkable, a second face appeared. President Arlen Zhao, Ensign Zhao's mother. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of every human being. "There will be no further orders to attack," she said, looking directly into Marek's eyes. "I have seen your data and theirs. We have no right to conquer Ziphos 7. I rescind Admiral Delgado's mandate. This is now a humanitarian operation." Marek's heart thundered. "Madam President and Captain, you will cooperate fully with the Ziphans. Begin terraformation protocols that stabilize their atmosphere through mutual design. Xenomedical teams are being dispatched in 2 hours." Tears filled Marek's eyes as Delgado's face flickered out, replaced by provisional relief codes, cascading through every channel in the fleet. The star chart console on the dreadnought downlinked the new vectors. "Retreat to safe orbit." Aaron exhaled. "You did it." Marek steadied the comm. "It wasn't me. It was you. All of us." The dark covenant outside the cavern. Through the wide fissure, Ziphos 7's red skies churned. The Deathworlders filed in, their shields dim but intact. Their leader, White Crest Ziphan, rose from the cot, weakness giving way to defiance. As translator drones interpreted its words, the humans watched with bated breath. "Humans, you betrayed first," it intoned, "but you chose to undo it." Its gaze flicked from Thorn to Nova, then to Aaron. "Proof lies in actions." Marek knelt before the Ziphan. "Teach us how to survive your storms. We will teach you how to stabilize your air. Together, we will make this world livable for all." The Ziphan's amber eyes softened. Its broad hand pressed to Marek's chest, over his heart. "Then we are bound by a covenant older than language. We will guide you through the storm's marrow. But know this, if you betray again, we will unleash the planet itself upon you." A murmur of affirmation rose from the other Deathworlders. Shields shimmered into intricate patterns and ancient oath. Marek felt the weight of both trust and responsibility settle on his shoulders. A fragile dawn hours later, as Ziphos 7's twin suns dipped below the horizon, Captain Thorn stood at the cavern's entrance. The hiss of steam from geothermal vents mingled with the dying tremors. Beside him, Nova had reconfigured the shuttle's wreck into a crude command post, its wiring spilling like vines across the stone. Aaron looked over his data slate. A tentative map of survival routes, cavern networks, even nascent plant growth, zones identified by Ziphan reconnaissance. Above them, the black dreadnought drifted away, its silhouette fading into the bleeding sky. The weight of that retraction felt like both reprieve and accusation. Marek turned to his officers. "We have a long road ahead. High Command will want reports, public relations spin. But here now we start fresh. We'll build a coalition that honors both our peoples." Nova sheathed her rifle. "And if someone disagrees?" Marek met her gaze. "Then we remind them why we chose life over conquest." Aaron stepped forward, voice quiet but resolute. "The Ziphans have shown us their greatest weapon, unity in the face of annihilation. Let's honor that, under the skeletal stalactites." Human and Deathworlders sealed their pact in silence, a promise written not in ink, but in shared breath and the fragile rhythm of trust. Beyond the cavern, the crimson storm gathered one last time, as if to test their vow, and in that gathering, fury. Two species prepared to stand together against both the maelstrom above and the ghosts of betrayal within. The red haze of Ziphos 7's ever-oiling sky faded to a bruised purple. As twilight bled across the horizon, beneath the fracturing clouds, a ragged assembly gathered on the plateau outside the cavern. Humans in scratch-built armor and Ziphans, in their bioluminescent crests, exchanging wary glances and guarded nods. Between them, the wreckage of the Odysseus shuttle lay half buried in dust, its scorched engines a stark reminder of how fragile trust could be. Captain Marek Thorn stepped forward, shoulders squared against the chill that seeped from the planet's cooling crust. At his side, Lieutenant Nova Reyes carried a field projector humming with new TerraCycle algorithms. Ensign Aaron Zhao balanced a pack bristling with hydroseed modules and atmospheric stabilizers. The Ziphan leader, whose crest orange glow had dimmed to a gentle pearl, studied the humans as if weighing their worth. "We stand at the edge of a storm," Marek began, voice carrying over the low wind. "Not just the one that ravages this world's surface, but the one that threatened to break our bond before it formed. Tonight, we choose solidarity over subjugation, survival over supremacy. A murmur of rolling clicks and human murmurs rose. The Ziffins formed a semicircle, their shields lowered in a gesture of conditional peace. Those shields, Marek knew, did not bend easily. They were the armor of a species that had learned to fight the planet itself. Yet here they had stood down, the Ziffin leader Whitecrest. Thorn had come to think of him nodded once. His translator. Drone rendered a single word. Proceed, igniting Chang'e under the pale light of Zipho's moonlets. The joint task force moved into action. Aaron and a trio of Ziffin engineers cleared away the shuttle's wreck to expose the main power conduits. The human subsea drills and Ziffin geothermal taps were to form a lattice network pumping heat from deep vents into the upper crust, where humankind's Terra modules would seed hardy xenoflora engineered for high CO adaptation. Nova calibrated the field projector's resonance frequency. These pulse-driven waves would catalyze a reaction in the Ziffin soil, breaking down sulfuric compounds into inert minerals and releasing oxygen bound in the dust's iron oxides. It was a delicate ballet of chemistry and magnetism. One wrong frequency could trigger an explosive reaction, incinerating half the plateau. A half-dozen Ziffin warriors guarded the perimeter, while 2 human xenobiologists and 3 Ziffin scholars monitored atmospheric scanners. Marek moved among them, offering words of encouragement, when a tremor jagged through the plateau, buckling the new conduits. He leapt to steady a Ziffin engineer whose bioluminescent armor had cracked. Solidarity, he whispered as he pressed a med patch to the alien's shoulder. We endure together. The maelstrom returns. No sooner had the last seed canister been planted than the sky roared its disapproval. A fissure of violet lightning stabbed through the clouds. Cyclonic winds tore at the plateau's eyes with renewed ferocity. The great dust maelstrom, sensing the human incursion and alliance, converged on their location as if to snuff out the fragile hope it recognized as threat. Take cover, Nova shouted, raising her rifle to her shoulder. The Ziffins snapped shields into place, their pulsing fields throwing back shards of rock and blasting winds. Marek grabbed the field projector's control panel and shouted over the cacophony. Stabilizers on maximum. We hold this line, Aaron. Engage the power cells, unleashing a concentrated burst down the network of conduits. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a low hum rose as the Terra modules activated, sending shockwaves of controlled energy into the ground. The very soil beneath them glowed faint green, binding the fracturing crust and dampening the tremors. Rocks settled, wind currents warped, splitting around the protective dome of stabilized air. In that moment, human and Deathworlder fought side by side. Ziffin warriors used bioweapons to lob spore bombs into the heart of the maelstrom, while human Gauss rifles shot arcs of tracer light to trigger controlled detonations. In dust-packed trenches, together they carved a corridor of relative calm through the storm's edge, sealing rifts as they advanced. When the final lightning bolt crashed harmlessly into the atmospheric stabilizer ray, the plateau fell eerily quiet. Only the hiss of steam rising from quenched conduits and the labored breaths of the exhausted coalition remained. Bonds forged in sacrifice. Ziffins tended their wounded with the same urgency as the humans did. Nova worked alongside Ziffin medics, translating human triage protocols into the alien physiology's needs. Aaron distributed oxygen canisters and water gels, sharing Ziffin bionutrient packs in return. Marek moved among them, his presence a symbol that the breach of Chapter 3 had not been forgotten, but forgiven. Whitecrest approached, his armor now repaired and his crest almost glowing fully. In his 3-fingered hand, he held a smooth stone inscribed with ancient glyphs. It was the Ziffin Oath Stone, a relic passed down through millennia as a symbol of trust. For the humans, acceptance of the Oath Stone was not just ceremonial, it was an admission that they would abide by the planet's unspoken laws, respect the storms, honor the earth, and never again place conquest above coexistence. Marek accepted it reverently. On behalf of humanity, I pledge our oath. We will guard this world as you do. We will stand by it, even when the storms rise. A chorus of clicks and hums rose as Ziffin benediction. Human voices joined. We stand together. Dawn of a shared futuries. Xiphos 7's twin suns broke through thinning clouds. The plateau stood transformed. Where once only dust and doom reigned, now patches of moss-green lichen crawled across freshly stabilized rock. Tiny xenoflora sprouted from hydroseed modules, leaves shimmering like stained glass in the newborn light. Beyond the plateau, the vast red desert was already changing. Atmospheric scanners registered incremental rises in oxygen and drops in sulfuric particulates. The cyclone's edge receded, breaking apart into manageable weather systems that the newly forged alliance would continue to tame. Captain Thorne surveyed the scene with a profound sense of purpose. The real mission had begun, not one dictated by distant admirals or political expediency, but by mutual necessity and shared sacrifice. The Odysseus may have been lost, but its crew and its ideals lived on. Nova approached, wiping sweat and dust from her brow. "We did it," she said softly. Marek shook his head, eyes on the horizon. "This was just the first storm, but we're together now, and together we'll make Xiphos 7 a home for humans and Deathworlders alike." Ensign Zhao joined them, activating a comm beacon. "Relay to orbit. Terra modules online. Alliance formed. Strategic update underway." He looked skyward where, far above, the black dreadnought had retreated, its ominous presence replaced by a lone supply frigate bearing the president's personal envoy. Marek placed a hand on Whitecrest's shoulder as the Xiphon leader stepped forward. "What next?" he asked. Whitecrest's amber eyes gleamed with cautious optimism. "We tend the wounds of storm and war. We teach our children not to fear the red sky, and yours to cherish the green earth." And so, on a world where death itself had once reigned, life began anew, born from the ashes of betrayal, tempered by the fire of cooperation, and guided by a pact as ancient and unbreakable as the oath stone in Marek's hand.